when I was growing up, I actually had a really good advantage because while we were stretching, our coach would pretty much give us a story or a lecture on a certain part of athletics and running about why this is important and why we do this and why we do this. Hi, I'm runner Mitchell Fields, and I just thought I should do a little intro to kind of let you know who I am and why I'm creating this channel. So, we have all been on social media and we have seen our fair share of misinformation, we'll call it, or half-truths. Mainly, time and time again, I see people making money off of not giving a full image of athletics, running, nutrition in general. And it's really, really frustrating for me, and I would assume that it's even more frustrating and confusing to people that haven't studied this stuff before. So what I want to do is create an easy place where people can access information on running and possibly other athletics to start seeing what they should expect in running, how to improve on it, how to start examining yourself on what muscles are and aren't being used, what forms are and aren't being used, how to start making planning for your own training, how to start making reasonable, let's say, projections on performance and improvement, and then also sometimes when allowing you to realize that you will improve, but then you'll kind of plateau, but then how you should wait for your body to go, oh, you want me to go faster, and then it just explodes beyond it. There are a lot of these little tricks and tweaks and, oh, you have pain here, you need to do this, there's 500 little tricks and hints and ways to look at running on how to fix it, how to do better at it, how to improve your sleeping, hydration, stretching, physical performance, all of that. There's material to read to learn how people in the past have created these plans and why we do and don't use them nowadays. There are so many fundamentals to the sport that are just not talked about. And when I was growing up, I actually had a really good advantage because while we were stretching, our coach would pretty much give us a story or a lecture on a certain part of athletics and running about why this is important and why we do this and why we do this. So we weren't just, hey, here's the stretch, go do it. No, we were stretching independently because we realized, hey, these people may stretch out their hips faster than these ones. These ones may stretch out their calves faster than these ones. Their hip flexors. So we did a different type of stretching, and then we did have group stretching, but we made sure that, okay, majority of everything is all stretched out and we're good to go. Okay, group stretch time. We didn't spend time just sitting around and waiting. And I see people nowadays, they're getting ready to meet with their coaches and they're not pre-warming, they're not stretching, they're just sitting talking. I'm like, and I actually do ask them from time to time, have you considered just doing a few warm-up laps? Have you considered just stretching ahead of time before your coach even comes here? Because I see some people that are showing up 20, 15, 30 minutes sometimes before their coach does, but they're not doing anything. I'm like, well, why do you even come early? If you're not going to do anything, you have all this free time to stretch or, warm up your muscles. I guarantee your coach won't care. Why don't you? And they don't have an answer. Well, their coaches never said that they could or they should. And I'm getting a little off topic, I'll admit that. But what I want to do is create a location where people can ask questions, get answers, no BS. I want them to go, I'm having this problem. Mitchell, what would you do? And then I will say, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a trainer. I'm just a schmuck that's been running for 28 years. This is what I would do. And if this did or didn't help, I would do this or this. So, with a little bit of help, I don't know what else to call it besides a school or a library of information, a Q&A back and forth maybe someday, every other week for people to ask questions and I respond to them on a stream if that's needed. I'm willing to consider that. But I just want to push aside the misinformation and allow people to kind of focus on what and how to improve and what to expect more. How to stretch and this is one of the weirdest intros you'll probably ever see, but it's like I sincerely want to help to try to let people know this can be very, very complicated, but also it can be very, very simplified. Let's just do this a few videos at a time. I'll probably do a pin on the top of the videos of, hey, if you have questions, feel free. If you have ideas for a show, I have probably enough content for the first 30, 40 shows already written down. But I want to know what is affecting you. I want you to feel engaged with questions and answers, and maybe it is just maybe I would just have an episode here or there where I just answer and go through the questions. I don't mind doing that. I just want to know how I can help, because with 28 years, I literally see people running and they are, since they have weak outer quads, they're rotating their ankles because they're catching themselves and their knees are going out, so they're rotating their ankles in, and that's what's causing them to run on the outside part of their shoes. But it's like they don't see it, but they're running down the football field while I'm over here stretching, and I can see them running away, and I can see them doing this. But then, well, are their friends telling them this? Are their coaches telling them this? Do they know it's a problem? And I just want to see if there's a way that I can help with this problem. The other thing that I'd say, and it's kind of more a minor note because I appreciate these people trying to help, is a lot of times there are people that are giving advice, and I mean this respectfully. I mean this very, very respectfully. There are people that are out there already that are giving advice, but let's say they can only run 8, 9 miles an hour for an hour. Well, it's like, well, that's like the beginning start over here, but it's like, okay, now how do you get to 9 and 10 and then to 11 and 12 miles an hour? And one thing that I hear in what they're saying is at the phase and speed that they are, yes, this and this is correct, but now to go beyond that, you need to start doing this, this, and this, because, and I'm going to cover this in a video, is the forms of running. And maybe this is getting into it too much right now, but this is just an example. You hear about people talking about form and how to put down your foot all the time. But then, what form are you talking about? Focus on your form, but they don't mention what form this is. You hear them talk about putting down their toes all the time, but I'm like, well, you do that more for sprinting and running. You don't do that so much for walking, trotting, and jogging. And they say, well, we're trying to run. And I reply with, virtually nobody runs a marathon. They jog it. Walking is a form. Trotting is a form. Just as jogging, running, and sprinting. So, and I'm going to have this in the video, and I already kind of ran this by somebody, and they love this analogy. So I think this is a good way to approach it. Picture circles, walking, trotting, jogging, running, sprinting. And they are slightly overlapping. So as you get better in walking, you are actually working on your trotting form a little bit. Then as you get better at trotting, you're actually working on your jogging form so much. And then as you get better at jogging, you're actually working on your running form slightly. And same thing for sprinting. So you don't necessarily need to be sprinting to improve that sprinting form. You can actually get better at just running in general, and it will overlap with your sprinting form. Form is not a speed either. There are people that can jog at 6 miles an hour, but then I've been able to jog at 9 and 10 miles an hour. So form is not a question of speed. It is a question of how strong you are and how long you can maintain that form. And the longer you can start maintaining that form, the faster and faster and faster you can go in said form. The other part is, when I was in the Air Force, people would say, well, rucksack and running with weights doesn't help you run faster. True. But you are walking, trotting, and jogging with that rucksack or that weight. So if you're walking, you're helping your walking form without it. You are slightly helping your trotting form get stronger. But if you're trotting with that rucksack, now you're helping your walking, trotting, and jogging form. If you're jogging with a 25-pound weight vest, or weight vest I should say in general, you are helping your jogging form get stronger, and it is overlapping mostly with your trotting and your running. But see, rucksack walks are usually just a trot. So yeah, they don't help with the running because that's too far away, but they help you with the jogging form and they help you with the walking form because that's right outside those, that's what's overlapping with those circles, okay? But just simple understanding of these topics and what speed is, what form is, and as you get stronger in a form, you're going to be able to transition to the next form better. It's literally the analogy of you need to learn to walk before you run, except it's not just those two, it's walk, trot, jog, run. And this is way more detailed than I wanted an intro to be, but that's just a simple example that people don't think about for running of what running form is. And then it's like, okay, for each one of these different forms, you use the muscles slightly different. Over here, you're using more outer quads. Okay, now over here, you're using more inner quads. Well, where does it transition between the two? Where are you using them roughly 50-50? Okay, but then you can go even more complex and go, there are levels in these forms. There is a low jog, a medium jog, and a high jog. Just like there's a low, medium, and high in all of these forms in intensity. So you can even run at, let's say, 9 miles an hour at a low run intensity, but you can also jog at the same time in a high level of jogging intensity. But at both speeds, in both forms, you are going 9 miles an hour. Well, that means you are able to maintain this running form down to here. And then you're able to maintain this jogging form up to here. But just this understanding of like, we do this running and people don't even realize it. Unless you're on a treadmill and you lock in your form, but even then, your cadence is going to change. So if you're running on a treadmill and you keep it at one speed, your cadence will change while you run. Your body is actually transitioning between this form and this form back and forth. If your cadence never changes, okay, you stay in the form the whole time, but that doesn't happen. Check your cadence with a watch, the treadmill itself. Your cadence will change while you run, even if you're on a treadmill. Running at one speed on flat ground, it will change. But when we're out on the sidewalks, the streets, we are literally going up a hill, down a hill, against the wind, with the wind. We are changing our cadence and we are changing our forms as the terrain and weather and stress factor, dehydration, distractions on the road, as all of this changes, we are changing our forms. Maybe temporarily, maybe just for a few steps, just to get up some steps real quick over here, maybe just to get up this little slant here, but all this is changing. So, if you find this information at all helpful, I would ask, share this channel with your kids, your family, friends, other people that are on your team, and what I would really consider is this. You'll learn how much I will stretch through these videos. While you're just doing some stretching routine, loosening things up, like you will end up doing if you do anything like me. I watch TV and I'll just jump on the floor and just start stretching. I won't even sit on the couch all the time. I'll just sit on the floor and start stretching. I go over to a friend's house and watch TV with them. I'll just jump on the floor sometimes and just start stretching. And it's just kind of like a subconscious response. But that keeps me loose and that helps me prevent injury. That helps me prevent tightness. That prevents me from a lot of the pain that people have. It's just, oh, something feels funny. And then you just take care of it right then and there. And you don't go on a half an hour with it just driving you mad. So if you have friends, family, team members, anything like that, share them this link to the channel. It'd be appreciated. Please like, subscribe, all that. Help me get this thing going because I just want to be able to give back. Or maybe, oh man, maybe I'm the next generation of coach. It's like, I don't feel that old, but wow. Like, you know, maybe I'm, yeah. But anyway, this has been too long. I appreciate you for sticking in and sticking in there, and let's get the first series going. And that's going to be a kind of a step process on what you should consider to do before your first run and things, how to prep for it. And yeah, let's get the show on the road.